alcohol is a toxin, and anytime you're creating a toxin, the liver has to clear that. And exactly how alcohol directly affects the estrogen receptors or the breast tissue, I don't know that we know. We just know it's a toxic substance, and as it's broken down, it continues to be toxic. And so there is a link between breast cancer and alcohol. Even 1 glass a day, you have a slight uptick in breast cancer rate. You go to 2 a day and you have a significant uptick. And then you start, and I'm talking about wine, you start talking about hard liquor, and you've really got some serious upticks. The more you drink, the more likely you are to get breast cancer. So there is a direct link between alcohol consumption and breast cancer. So stick with a half glass. And red wine preferably with resveratrol. Resveratrol has some amazing, beautiful benefits. Well, we know that obese people or overweight, even modestly overweight people have more breast cancer. Probably the reason, there's several reasons there, but number one, adipose tissue, fat, makes estrogen. And remember, estrogen, excess estrogen, is a cause of breast cancer. So 1% of breast cancers are men, and they're most always obese, and they have breast. Because of the excess estrogen production from the fat. So fat produces estrogen, which leads to breast cancer. So there's a direct link there just because adipose tissue makes breast cancer. There's probably another factor there, and it's not as well correlated, but if you're overweight, you probably aren't exercising significantly. We know that exercise dramatically lowers cancer rates of all ilk. And so twofold factor there. Adipose tissue makes estrogen, and you probably aren't exercising if you're obese. So two ticks up the breast cancer scale there. Tap water is not healthy for you. First of all, it's got chlorine in it, which is a known carcinogen, a known cancer-causing agent. I was at the Water Treatment Specialists of America, I think was the name of it, convention here a few years ago, and they actually said from the stage, we know that chlorine causes cancer. We know that chlorine causes disease. We just don't have anything better to treat the water with right now. So their main concern is today, the people that drink the water not getting dysentery or not getting cholera or not getting whatever. There's a breakage in the pipe out there, you get dirt in it, you get bacteria, fungus, they put the pipe back together. There's still chlorine in the water to kill all of that. You could sterilize water with ozone just as effectively, maybe more. But the ozone is a gas, and it would, as the pipe went out to service the houses or the buildings, the gas would separate. And so if you had a breakage out there or a contamination, it wouldn't still be in the water to sterilize it. So that would be a much preferable way to do it, except for that issue. So if you're drinking tap water, stop it. You need a local, in your house, device to take the chlorine out, to take the fluoride out, and to take the chemicals and pharmaceuticals. Your water is heavily contaminated, in all probability, if you live in any metro area in the United States, heavily contaminated with pharmaceuticals and chemicals. Chemicals from manufacturing, chemicals from runoff from farms and agriculture, and then pharmaceuticals. I lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee for a while. Well, right up the Tennessee River in Knoxville, everybody flushed their toilets, and all of that goes to the water treatment plant, which then dumps it into the Tennessee River. Then Chattanooga, next city down, takes their water right out of the Tennessee River with all of those chemicals in it, with all those what do you do with your bottle of pills when you're done, when you aren't taking them? You dump them down the commode and they go right into the water. So public water is a cesspool of chemicals and drugs. And you don't need to be you need some Prozac today? Have a glass of tap water. Need an antibiotic today? Have a glass of tap water. So you've got to clean that stuff out of there. That is not good for you. So get you a device that removes, and ask those specific questions. Does it remove chloride? What percent? Does it remove fluoride? What percent? Toxic, deadly chemicals. Does it remove pesticides and chemicals? And so you want a clean, healthy water device in your home that prepares water, fresh water today. And fill up your jug and take it to work. Oh, bras are interesting. There's a huge industry, needless to say, around that, and it's highly sold to women. There was a study in the early 90s, I think Grissmeyer and Singer published that work. I think they published it actually in book form called Dressed to Kill. And they actually received threats and death threats after they published that from, who knows, the lingerie industry or who knows, I don't know. But here's how that works. So anything that hangs out of the body is made to be cooler. And if you heat that up, it has more disease. So let's switch it from women to men for a second. So if a man has a testicle that stays in the abdomen, instead of descending down into the scrotum, which is about 4 degrees cooler, so inside of the body, 98.6, outside of the body, about 94, 95 degrees. If that testicle doesn't come down and stays in the abdomen, it's got over an 80% chance of becoming cancerous. So it's made to be cool, it's staying hot, and so you take the breasts now. They're made to be cool, they're hanging outside of the body, probably 3 or 4 degrees cooler, and now we put these thermal insulation packs on them. We call them bras. They're cloth, they're insulation, a lot of times a lot of padding or foam or push-up or whatever. And so we're insulating them, we're keeping the heat in them. That's going to increase the disease rate of those breasts. Number 2, it's creating pressure against the breast. Well, what does that do? That decreases blood flow. Well, that's decreasing oxygen, decreasing vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, amino acids, all of the nutrients that cell needs to be healthy. You've just decreased the flow because you're putting pressure on that tissue. So it can't be as healthy because it's not getting good blood flow. And then thirdly, the pressure creates lymphatic congestion. And lymph is the garbage collection system of the body. And so the lymph system is removing the garbage. Cells don't have a little disposal chute where they dispose of their garbage. You've got the cell wall, and they're doing their thing on the inside of the cell, and then they just throw the garbage right outside of the cell wall, just right out the door. And then the lymph system carries that away from the cells. And if you're congesting the lymph and keeping the garbage there, the toxins, that's not a healthy environment for those cells to live in. So there's a couple of things to do. Wear bras less, absolutely less than 8 hours a day. Not at all. If you've got an A cup or a B cup, you don't need to be wearing a bra. You say, oh, my nipples will show. Well, there's 7 billion women in the world, 3.5 billion women in the world, which means there's 7 billion female nipples. Yes, every woman has 2 of them by and large. And what's the problem? I guess they make little stickies that you can just put over the nipples to not make them show. Or you can wear a camisole or a little jacket. There are plenty of ways not to let your nipples show because somehow that's socially inappropriate. I don't comprehend that, but anyway. I know it's a woman thing and you got to respect that. So, but there are other ways besides a bra not to let your nipples show. And so do that. When you get home, rip that bra off, and then I do a cute little thing. When I'm speaking to women's groups, I teach them a little mantra, and that is every time they go to the bathroom, I say, panties down, hands up. Every time they pull their panties down to go to the bathroom, their hands need to go up to their breast. and just massage. While they're urinating, just go in circles, whole breast, and you're doing a little lymphatic massage, creating blood flow. Yeah, okay, it's just 10 or 15 seconds, fine. You do that 10 or 15 times a day, you've done something. So every time you sit on the pot, create a new habit, your hands go to your breast and massage. Very healthy for the breast, and so we can mitigate some of that damage. But when you get home in the evening, take that bra off, do a good little lymph massage on your breast, and get on with the day. The other thing that bras do is they decrease the bounce. And breasts are supposed to move when we move. That's healthy. It's called lymphatic pump. That helps move the lymphatics, the garbage away from. So bras simply aren't healthy for the female breast. Again, let's go to lymphatic system, because the lateral part of the breast, the lymphatics drain through the armpit. So if you congest the lymphatics in the armpit, you're congesting the lymph and backing it up into the breast. And perspiration is a primary way to get rid of toxins. And remember, toxins are in the lymph. So you're damming up part of your detoxification system. You're made to sweat, you're made to perspire. It's a way to get rid of toxins. It's a way to especially get rid of some of those high toxins coming out of the breast there in a more immediate fashion than circulating them through the blood and processing them in the liver or the kidneys later. So the antiperspirants are not healthy for us. We need to perspire. And so don't know what that looks like. On a practical basis, I guess there are pads that you can wear under. I honestly never had that problem. When I was a youth and exercising and playing team balls, everybody come in and at the end of the day and wring their shirts out, and if it's a really hot damp day, I might have a little wet spot someplace on my shirt. But I understand it can be a social problem, but deal with it some other way if possible. Well, microwave, let's talk about EMF, electromagnetic frequency, in all of its forms, microwave being a very powerful, damaging form of electromagnetic frequency. But do not hesitate for a second. Cell phones are EMF too. I was in one of these hardware places the other day, and this woman walked by me, and she tucked her cell phone in her bra, and I just went. And I looked at her, and she caught out of the side of her eye, and she looked at me, and she went, "What?" And I said, "Your bra is not a cell phone holder." And she went, oh, you're right. And I couldn't believe I said that to her. But I was grateful that she didn't slap me and that she responded appropriately. She took that out. Bras are not cell phone holders. You do not want to be putting that electromagnetic frequency next to your brain or your breast or any place else on your body, actually. So I virtually never put that thing up to my head. I've had too many friends with brain cancer that were heavy cell phone users. So you don't want that electromagnetic radiation, for it causes heat. And remember, we talked about heat. Anything that you heat up, whether it's a testicle or breast, it becomes more cancer. So this is not the same as X-rays, which cause DNA damage that leads to cancer. This is a heating phenomena. And it does cause protein damage also, so that can lead to all kinds of cellular disruption. There's a lot of things that microwaves do. It heats, it causes protein damage, causes those proteins to misfold a lot of times. So it's not healthy for us. I don't have a microwave in my house, haven't for 25 or 30 years. You don't even heat the water for the coffee in it because it restructures the water into not healthy water. So microwaves are not good for us. Well, we know that pesticides, herbicides, that these types of chemicals, especially glyphosate, are known carcinogens. They cause cancer That's been proven over and over. And then they do the GMO thing. They literally put a pesticide into a vegetable. They splice that gene in. So GMO is genetically modified organism. They take a gene that will kill a bug or a bacteria or fungus, and they put it into the genetic structure of the plant, so that then when the bug eats that plant, it dies. Well, hello, we're big bugs. We have the same biological systems, so we're getting poisoned too. We're a bigger bug, so it usually doesn't kill us, but it sure does make us sick and unhealthy and damages us. Our livers are trying to detoxify that. Our kidneys are trying to detoxify that. It's damaging our neural system, our immune system. So there's this whole GMO pesticide, chemical, artificial fertilizer thing going on that is devastating. It's staying in the soil, it's getting in the food products. It's so hard to get away with, and it's all about money. It's about, this is something sinister out of like one of these dark movies, like a Batman movie or something, where they're trying to come in and put something in the water supply of the city to take it over. These companies are trying to rule the world with these drugs and chemicals that they put on plants that actually in the long run don't increase productivity, that are deadly, not only to the organisms out there, but to us. Plant a little extra. Plant some for the worms and the bugs too. We need the whole biome, and it's affecting us in a dramatic way, causing cancer, causing disease. It is not healthy for us. Heavy metals dumb down the immune system. So mercury, cadmium, lead, arsenic, these chemicals have been known for centuries to cause damage. Lead was probably a primary cause for the fall of the Roman Empire because they drank out of lead goblets. It was an easy metal to work with, soft, so they could shape it. They didn't know that lead caused genetic damage and brain damage and liver damage, kidney damage. Well-meaning dentists have been putting mercury, one of the most toxic substances on the planet, in our mouth for decades. And you know, it's a biohazard waste and a very toxic chemical when they mine it. It's very toxic when they process it. It's toxic when they transport it. It's toxic when the dentist is making up. And then when we put it in our mouth, all of a sudden, magically, it's non-toxic. And then when they go to take it out, it's toxic again. It has to be disposed of toxically. What? It's insanity. Of course it's toxic in your mouth. And the mercury vapors are gassing off. We're breathing those. And so the ADA will never admit that they poisoned generations with mercury. They will just slowly move away with it to ceramics and plastics and other things, which may be just as toxic because I'm not sure how many studies are being done on those. But at least we're moving away from the mercury toxicity. So heavy metals dumb the immune system down. I consider every cancer patient to have heavy metal poisoning. And so I treat them with either EDTA, DMPS, or DMSA, activated charcoal, chlorella. There are ways to get the heavy metals. It's a process because they're so toxic that your body, your immune system has stuffed them in the closet and locked the key on the door. But then occasionally that cell dies and that stuff is floating around again. So it's a process of detoxing slowly over the years, literally. And then we're getting more metals all the time. We get it in fish because we've been polluting our oceans with mercury. You get it in your water because that water comes through a metal pipe. You're breathing metal in the air because coal-fired plants are releasing arsenic and lead and mercury into the air. You're breathing heavy metals. And we've gotten those smokestacks under control a little bit in America, but right across the ocean there in China, there are no controls on those smokestacks. So that's in the air. You're literally breathing heavy metals in the air. drinking it in the water as it comes through the metal pipes. You eat food that was stored in a metal can, cooked in a metal pot. You're eating it off of a metal device. And so, unless you're Chinese, eating with chopsticks out of a wooden bowl. So heavy metals are with us. They're not going to go away. So you need to be proactive. I take every week an EDTA suppository just to get the excess metals out of my body because I've had mercury fillings, I eat fish. So detoxification of heavy metals needs to be, we all need to be doing that on an ongoing basis.